Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 8 of the Kids from It podcast. This is our first time going for this. This is certainly not my third attempt at getting this opening correct, but I am joined, as always, by my co-hosts Kai and Kayla, and we have our special guest, Stacy, here. Now, Stacy has connections with Kayla from back in the day, so I'll first of all, ask Stacy, how are you doing this evening?
I am good. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, fantastic.
Get into it. Kayla and I are going to really dig some stuff up.
I want you guys to know that I confirmed for Stacy that we were going to do this an hour and a half before our meeting time. So she's a real star in here with us.
This is how much this means to me. This topic.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun one tonight.
All right. So, I'll start things off here with just a question for Stacy. And what is your like an overview of your history with the independent fundamental Baptist community? Like, how did you get involved into it?
I was born into it. Born and raised. My parents found the IFB before I was born. Not long before I was born, but pretty quickly. And I believe they started in Calvary Chapel, so more non-denominational Christian. And then we ended up in a church in San Diego that was pastored and started by the brother of one of the largest, most well-known, I think, churches and Bible colleges in Southern California. And it just kind of became our identity. It's just all I knew. I was homeschooled until I went to the girls' home. And, sports, everything is all tied to the church. So that was life.
Is your family military associated at all? Or were you like this community lived at all? Just out of curiosity.
No, we were near a military base. We had a lot of military come and go. But and
weird.
I think that's a tie for sure, So I've touched on that.
Yeah, it's a little pattern we've noticed of how consistent of a through line this happens to be. So you mentioned a girls' home. Is that correct? What's the story with this situation?
Yes, I was in the Shenandoah Haven Academy for young ladies.
Troubled girls, troubled teen girls.
Is that what it was actually called?
Called us young ladies.
It was when we were there. It was for troubled girls. I remember that being in the title.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. I think it was for. I'm not totally sure, but they definitely ran with the troubled girls.
We were troubled. We had some troubles for sure.
We did.
Yikes.
We did. My parents put me on an airplane when I was 14 and flew me out to Tennessee. We had never been out there from San Diego before, and left me there. And I ended up staying for 4.5 years until I graduated high school after I turned 18.
Why did they send you there?
I definitely had a little temper on me, and but I had never been in trouble with the law.
And you were a child.
I was a child.
Just a kid, so
but I had never been in the trouble with the law. I'd never drank, never smoked, never had relations with anybody. It was very much interpersonal, and we had started going to a therapist. I thought that she was going to be the voice that I needed in this bubble that I was so in, and I had no connections or anybody to the outside world. Really, everything was very closed, which is what to me makes it a cult. Is that I did not have access to people outside who could regulate what was happening until this therapist. And I think I had 2 sessions with her, and I really thought things were going to get better. And our pastor gave my parents a piece of paper with names of different homes, and they settled on this one in Tennessee. And so that is where I went. It had nothing to do with legal troubles, but that's where I went.
And that's where we met.
That's where we met. Yep.
Basically, you were there when I got there, right?
I was there it was like New Year's Eve of 2004.
Yeah. So I had been there a few months, and then you came back. Everybody knew you but me, I think, right?
Well, I went there in 2004.
Yeah.
And
But I'm
then
just trying to remember if you were there like when I got there or not, or if it was like when you were one of those breaks.
And then I think it was 2007 is when I had the break because my parents moved from San Diego to Tennessee and like joined the church and started serving in the ministry that is the Haven, and
that's what it was. I was there when all that happened.
Yeah, so I was home for maybe 6 months, I think, when I was 16, and that just crashed and burned. So
damn. Well,
yeah.
So I have a question for you because I wanted to circle. We talked about this a little bit before coming on the air, but on our first episode, like right out the gate, when I was talking about the Haven, I was like, they sent me away and they give up custody of me. And I explained it really weird and confusing. And I think Kyrie and you kind of chimed in and you were like, it was probably a power of attorney. And I wanted to get Stacey to like help with this because it wasn't just a power of attorney from what we were discussing. And I just wanted to ask you what you remember about the arrangement with our parents and what like they were told and what we were told, all that, because you remember more than me.
Yeah. Well, we were all minors and they're against our will. And that is a fact that needs to be stated. None of us were there because we wanted to be there. Some of us were there because we were kidnapped in the middle of the night, you know? So what I was always told by the director, can I say his name?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
All about it. Well,
are you talking about Mitchell?
Mitchell Buck.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
He always told me that our parents had given them complete legal rights. So if we were to call, like if we were to run away in the middle of the night and call somebody and say, I've been taken, I'm here, I'm a minor, I don't want to be here, take me to my family, they had the rights when the police spoke to them to say, no, she is here under our care. And they made it very clear that they had all of the documents that they needed to prove to the police that our parents had no rights at all in what happened to us. And I remember him telling me that they wanted to be able to punish us without having to call our parents first.
Yeah, I do know that our parents had to agree ahead of time to.
Yes. So my parents have never specifically said what happened on that side from a legal standpoint, but as a parent myself, I know that in order for someone to be able to look at the police and have full rights to say this is
that is more than a power of attorney.
A lot has to happen.
Yeah,
a lot of choices have to be made, you know, over a long span of time.
I know when I talked to my parents about it, or my mom. Oh, sorry, babe.
Oh, I was just going to say, to give someone that right when the courts are not involved and there's not a legal process happening saying this is who's in charge of the child, for a parent to do that on their own and give strangers that kind of right is not okay.
Yeah. So I just want to take a second to tell everyone we're talking about the Haven is it's a ministry of the church. There's a boys' home too. It's still operating to our knowledge, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. Still operating to our knowledge out of Cleveland, Tennessee, Shenandoah Baptist Church. One thing that I want to ask you if you like remember feeling a lot. I remember our trips to Walmart every month. We got a once a month trip to Walmart to get our absolute essentials, and we would
our stockings and pantyhose because those were in our dress code.
Yeah, and it was always weird to me, or I always thought that like this trip to Walmart was going to be the one where someone was going to call TSS.
I thought that too. I thought
that never happened, so I'm not trying
to. We have to look weird.
We have to have looked weird, and so it's interesting to me that the community of Cleveland, Tennessee, like has still like y'all have no questions. I don't know anything about Cleveland, Tennessee, other than it's also where Bob Jones University was first started. Right. So leads to bigger questions, but that always
the culture of the Bible Belt is keep your mouth shut. It's God. It's between you and God.
Yeah,
and I think that's a very deeply mind your business, culture in the South, especially, but also in the IFB, mind your business.
Yeah. And also we were talking about donuts too, but they used to take us out, like pull us out of school for weeks and have us go sell donuts. Sorry, my cat's scratching on the door. Just threw a pen at her. That was another thing. Like someone should have called then too. Like there's so many red flags to the community, but you're right. It is definitely Bible Belt vibes out there. So,
TJ,
yeah.
So,
you have a thought?
well, what was the express purpose of this institution? Like when they got you there, they said, okay, you will come here, you will learn X, Y, Z. And was there a chance of you, okay, you're reformed, we can send you back to your parents now?
They did
Or
not
was
want
it
us to leave. I can tell you
or
that.
you were supposed to be there the entire time, and there was no like graduation from the program until you actually were
There's
aged
girls
out?
that were adopted by the directors for various reasons, but multiple girls that ended up being adopted by the directors. There are multiple girls that feel now as adults they were held against their will past the age of 18 through psychological abuse. And many of our group stayed well after 18.
I stayed after 18 because
I was gonna say, didn't you?
I turned 18 in March and I didn't graduate till May, and I wanted to leave. I was like, I'll finish school at whatever Cleveland High School is down the street, and they said no, if I left before graduation that they would not give me any of my credits and I would have to start high school in a public school at 18 or 19 as a freshman.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know any better. Okay, I'm staying. And I stayed for 2 months as an adult.
Yeah. Remember when I didn't get to graduate? Remember that? That had a lot to do with the fact that going back to what we talked about with our parents and the legal stuff. My parents, I have to give it to them. I don't know how long it took, but I know at least in the last, we'll say 6 months, that's being generous maybe, but like my parents were ready to come get me. They had questions and they knew something was happening.
They were always a little sketch. Some parents were like, never see you again.
My parents were a lot sketch.
Yeah, your parents were always like,
and even having come from Maranatha,
pushed back a little bit, which I
loved about. Yeah, and well, I think some people started to anyway. And it was not until my parents stood up to Mitchell and told him like, doesn't matter to us whether she graduates or not. Like we're coming to get her at a year. Like when that legal agreement is up, we're going to be there. And my parents were there the day after. Like it was. I do remember that being like very profound to me as far as like how my parents and I are I don't have a lot of animosity for my mom and dad personally about sending me to the Haven specifically, but I want to talk to them about what happened to me at the Haven. That's never happened. But I don't remember it being, it was as soon as my parents said, we're coming to get her either way, that Mitchell made that decision to not let me graduate early, even though I was like, super ready. And then he was like angry with me until like my life changed at the Haven too after that, because they did not, there was no like goal of reform. They wanted to keep us all there for as long as they could, especially as long as they were collecting some kind of like tuition for everybody. And then even the girls
over the years too getting our diplomas. Last February, I ended up contacting the Department of Education in Tennessee and speaking to whoever is director of these private schools, because we have had difficulties requesting our records and our diplomas. And
we got told that they just don't exist, right? Is that correct?
Right. Some people we don't have files anymore. They've like deleted some of our records. And even the kids who have kept their diplomas over the years have had trouble using them for college and military and things like that. So
I can't imagine that.
I didn't really need my diploma at the moment, but I went on a mission, like I'm going to figure this out for us. And like ended up getting an email back that they were legit, which is great. They sure didn't feel legit. I mean, we had a one-room schoolroom with girls who were 13 to 18, and some were not at a 13 grade level or a 13 age grade level, and one teacher taught us all every day, so but I'd like to get back to the question you asked me about what was their purpose. And I feel like they always said their purpose was to be a parent helping ministry. But then they did absolutely nothing that helped rebuild the relationship with your parents. I mean, we were given a 10-minute phone call once a month, and it was monitored by the director in the director's office on speakerphone. And it was like, all right, your time is up, let's go. All of our letters to and from could only be to immediate family, and they were read and redacted on the way in and out with Sharpie. Sometimes we had to send the whole box back, we couldn't keep it. Or we'll hold on to it if you're graduating this year, we'll hold on to it until you leave. And weren't allowed, so you couldn't ask for help. You couldn't express what you were going through and what you were experiencing. And your parents come once a year, and you know, by the time they get there, you have to be there for a full year before they allow a visit. And by the time your parents get there, you're not saying anything.
Yeah, no.
You're really just not, you know. The fear is there.
Yeah.
You know, and how much it impacts literally every moment of your life to make a choice like that, to talk to someone, to talk to your parents. And like on my end, I knew it wouldn't have been received well. It wasn't something that they were going to be receptive to hear me that it was a problem. It was going to be, oh, well, you're just being a problem again, you know. So we didn't have a voice, you know. We were just kind of lost and forgotten about.
It did feel like the forgotten year. It felt like the year of my life that just like wasn't real. I can imagine it being 4 years.
4.5 years. Yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah.
Stacey, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So it's obviously a home, right, and a school, and it's a home for troubled girls. Going back to like kind of the one room schoolhouse kind of thing, what, if you're comfortable with it, can you kind of like walk us through like what a typical day looked like? Like if all your activities are in the same building.
They're so good at this.
This is where I shine. 4.5 years.
Yeah. So what did this kind of day look like? Did it change from like the ages that you were to like, you know, you said there's like 13 to 18 there. So
no, we were all
talk about that a little bit.
Yes, we were all treated the same. Age-wise didn't make a difference. We were not all treated the same, but okay. For our age we were. And yeah, so we would wake up. Half the girls took morning showers, and they would wake up early before everybody else, and then whoever was room monitor would come in and turn on the lights, and it was up and straight to the kitchen table, like immediately to kitchen table. And we would have, I think it was half an hour of personal devotions. And I mean, we're like peeling our eyes open, you know, trying to read. And one girl goes into the kitchen and makes breakfast. And then we clean up breakfast. We would do our chores. They did white gloves every day while we were at school, and we would rack up demerits throughout the week. And then they would bring us home for lunch. The school was on the church property, which was like.
Stace, tell them about the house first. Like, just tell them what we lived in, like what the setting was. It was a 2-bedroom. It's a 2-bedroom house, by the way. There was
a 2-bedroom house, and I was there with 18 to 22 girls.
We had 23 was our peak, my peak.
Ooh.
Yeah.
In a 2-bedroom house.
Yeah. So the basement was transformed into a bedroom. It had a bathroom. We had a laundry room downstairs, which was like a
basement was for not us. Basement wasn't for us, was it?
Back at the beginning when I was there, they had a lot of girls down there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And one bathroom down there. And so we got 10 minutes, door shut to door open, you know. And then upstairs, the family room part of it, I guess, kind of had been turned into a bunk room, and there were bunks in there. I don't know, maybe 8, 10, 12 bunks probably. 2 little mini closets and 1 bathroom upstairs. And then at the end of the hallway was the like house monitor and a couple girls.
The VIPs, the extra saved girls.
Special treatment, the extra saved girls. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Respectfully, love y'all. Just saying, if you're listening, but let's be real.
Yeah. And so we'd go back to the house for lunch, and then we'd clean up, and we'd go back to school and finish our day. Every Friday we had chapel. And then we'd come home and do any homework that we had and have a little bit of free time. they'd make dinner, and then after dinner it was chores and showers again. The same chores we did in the morning, we do them again before bed. And then we would be gathered in the other little living room for a group devotion where one of the directors, Mitchell, Matt, whoever, Josh, whoever happened to be there at the time over the years.
All related. All related, by the way.
A sermon at us, like the hell-raising sermons that you get in the IFB church. That was every single night. And then we would leave from devotions in that living room to our bunks where we'd go do half an hour of devotions again, and then it was lights out. So and then it was church Sunday morning, Sunday school, Sunday night, and then it was also Wednesdays, I think. And then if there was
school, our one room school was at the church also, and school was Paces, so almost no interaction with anybody else.
Right.
Like, no.
We were self-taught. We graded our own quizzes. She had a booth that we would go up, and she had all the answer keys for all of the paces that were being used at the moment. And when you reach the new chapter in that pace, we would go it up, and cheating happened, I'm sure.
And people made a disgusting amount of money off of us, our parents. I just want to say that the food was trash. We got great value popcorn and pizza rolls every Friday night for dinner, and that was like our feast. That was we were balling out. We got excited for that. So where did the money go, Shenandoah?
Right. The cheating that probably happened in the schoolroom was more fear driven than learning driven, because if we got less than an 80 on a test, we got SWATs. And so of course you don't want to fail. You don't want to do bad. You don't want to ask for help because there is not much help being given, we just winged it. But they made a chapel,
That's why we had a discussion a while ago about corporal punishment and how prevalent it was in this community, and just kind of accepted. I've been pulling up a few things about this place the last couple of minutes here. Kayla, if you could be so kind to share that window I just put up there to add it to the stage.
How?
Oh, if you hover over it and click on it, it should allow you to, just like you add people.
I gotta get on the full screen here. Hang on.
Oh, there.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
So is this the place?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm looking at, because what its like mission statement is, and it has a page for like a boys ministry and a girls industry. I keep saying ministry, but I guess industry works fine based on what you guys said. Yeah.
There are stories to be told in that boys' home. There are stories.
Oh, I can only imagine.
There are stories that I can hardly stomach out of that boys' home.
I can't stomach some of them. They are so bad, like eating your own vomit.
Oh Christ! Yeah.
So bad, yes.
Yeah.
So bad.
I got so excited when Let Us Pray came out, and I feel like anybody that has any knowledge, I can't even. So, I gotta know that Stacy's here to Stacy's so much braver than me. I can't even. We've been doing this how many episodes, and I don't talk about it. And here I am. I feel stupid because my voice is shaking. But I just wanted to say that I can't even talk about some of the stuff the way you do. Sorry, that was all I wanted to say. That intrusive thought that I just think that everyone else can talk about it so clearly and calmly.
I've worked really hard to not let it dominate my life, and went on a mission to learn things I was never taught, to grow into a better person than I was given a chance to be. And as you can see, focused on helping young ladies who are struggling with spiritual, family, and social issues. It's like a conversion camp. It really is. It's like when people have never heard of these homes, that's what I say.
So yeah, that's actually what I wanted to get into, because just trying to figure out exactly what this place is kind of strange. And even when you guys talking about it, it's still rather nebulous. Like it doesn't have like a concrete. It's not a school or a church or something. It's a girls' home that's kind of church based, and like send your kids to us. And I found some documents on like what the parents sign over and everything too. But if someone was interested in this place, and I think in both your cases, for Stacy and Kayla, someone recommended it to your parents, like a pastor, I think you said, or someone wrote a letter.
Yeah.
And because if you wanted to learn about this place yourself, this is all you would have. If you go to their website, it says, like you were saying there, it's a Bible-based ministry focused on helping young ladies who are struggling with spirituality, family, and social issues. Our goal is to show them that there is joy to be found in a personal relationship with Jesus Christ and learning to live for him in your daily life. This is accomplished by placing an emphasis on Bible teaching in the home, classroom, and church. Through God's word, we learn our struggles of life. Begin with struggling in the heart. Our aim is to see Christ transform young people in their heart. This change will show through in their words and actions. While working this goal, we provide a safe haven away from the worldly influences that have led to many of our bad decisions. The ladies are able to focus on their school studies, enjoy their social life, and experience a family atmosphere in a Christ-exalting environment. We provide great academics, athletic opportunities, a wonderful church environment, and a loving home. Through these means, we strive to see spiritual, family, and social growth in their lives. That is it. That is all you get. Say what?
Yeah.
That is a lie.
and it's not even true. That's the best part. But this is nothing. This doesn't tell you anything. Like, I can't find anything about the academics. I can't find anything about the activities, about the food. Nothing. It's like this, 3 paragraphs is all you get for sending your daughter or son there for God knows how long. And that's
everything
insanity.
is a secret. They keep it so close to the chest. Even when I called, Stacey said this, a large group of us tried to get our transcripts at the same time. We had a reporter from somewhere talking to us, and we anytime, we all get excited. Like we want somebody to look into it. But when I called, you can tell that they're feeling you out. Like the moment they get on the phone, as much as you're a caller trying to get information, this is a receiver immediately trying to get information so that they know what to spit back at you, which is
but they're not trying to convert people. That is not what their mission here is.
They're trying to guard.
They're trying to.
Yeah, I think
they're trying to keep this IFB culture alive through this next generation, and it's their goal is to make money and to put up some numbers and look pretty. And that's why they have a pretty website without many words, because there are not words to explain what actually happens. And I do understand that the leadership that I was under and Kayla was under is not the same leadership of today. So I'll admit
it was a slow trickle down. I have so many questions about the Grubbs family and the pass down of this entire church, everything there.
So I'm glad you guys mentioned that. Kayla, if you could permit me again and share the screen that I pulled up here, because I was looking around about I was really interested in the whole power of attorney or legal guardianship. What were you saying, Stacey? I'm sorry.
I don't like this form because they list children. Cody,
these are kids?
Shane.
These are people you know?
Oh yes. But Cody and Shane are the children of David and Adrian.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And then there's like Jed and Callie,
those are our director, our assistant director's kids.
Those are all children that are listed.
And these kids were employed. They were working as.
Wait a minute. When you say children, do you mean not like actual, not just offspring, but minors? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, offspring of all the directors and stuff like that. And when I say working, I mean I think they, were involved in the ministry. I remember seeing, and this is after my time, some of these kids, and I'm not even going to say their names again, but they were the assistant director's kids. And then some of the kids that are listed there are some of our Haven sisters who ended up staying, because some of these girls married right into it. They stayed after they were 18. They started establishing lives, and then they married into it. And I mentioned in the Micah Miller thing, how I worry about that happening. And
you should click on the Cope Church links. Cope.church, because some of those oh no, that's Provo Canyon. The other one, there's an absolutely disgusting.
Is it?
No, I'm gonna see if you want me to see if I can find it. There's something where it's a complaint from former families that that list out specific crimes, and that was what got the FBI involved last year.
I do have that.
You do. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I have it.
And that's the one that made me almost sick to my stomach, because I mean, to just see these people are making these complaints, and we're like, this is true, this is real.
And I want to say, Stace, like, we've had this conversation many times, but I don't talk to everyone's family, but one of our Haven sisters did take her or die tragically not long after we all got out. And there are so many girls that, like, I don't even know where they are. I cannot find them. I don't know. And I think between me and you, Stacey, and like we've tried really hard and really thoroughly.
Well, I'm really glad you mentioned Quiana, because I just got chills.
Me too.
I feel like the Haven and what she experienced there and after is what led her to her.
I very deeply, I would not say that Quee was my bunkmate. And I have no question. That the Haven had a huge impact on what happened. So
when she left, I know that the way that she was treated when she left by the staff was just despicable.
And Quee was the only African American girl there as well. I just want to say that, her experience was probably very different than ours as well. And I don't even.
But we've talked about for years how if we ever got to this moment right now where we're at, is we would bring up her name, because she is one of
the reasons,
she's a true victim in all of this, know? And I really believe that this wouldn't have happened, at least this way, if the Haven had not been involved the way they were.
So in what ways do you think that the Haven contributed to the decline in the mental health of its what they call what were they called, students? Is that what they're called there? Or
we call ourselves Haven Girls, Haven Sisters, I think. But yeah, we were called
Haven Girls.
The girls. We were just the girls. I don't want to talk specifically about Quee because her situation is just delicate and different. I don't know for us, too much.
She deserves to be mentioned.
Yeah, I would say that she was there for years, but as far as abstractly, we didn't really get into the discipline. I know for me, I got put on silence. So take the context of like our already very isolated lives, right? And then remove anybody being able to talk to you for weeks, months.
Well, actually, let's go back and let's touch on
shadowing. Yeah, just right
after shadowing, because when you are brought there by your parents, they go through your bags and have you get undressed and make sure that everything is, you're not smuggling anything in. They take anything that they don't want, and then you're immediately placed on shadowing, which is where a senior girl who has proven herself, probably a backroom girl,
bedroom
girl, honestly, is the only.
I had Danielle. My shadowing was so fun.
I had Kayla, and I loved her, KK. But anyways, she, as the shadowee, you're only allowed to talk to the staff, the adults, the director, his wife, the assistant director and his wife, and your shadower. So if you have any problems, you can only speak to them. You are literally living in a house, functioning around all of these other girls that you've never met before, and you are not allowed to speak to them.
I just want a little quick moment here before you go on too far. I just remembered this, and I just want you to know that my first day of shadowing, my first experience was getting renamed. What did they call me at the Haven? Do you remember?
Kayla.
Remember okay. No, I wasn't Kayla. because there was already a senior Kayla there when I got there.
My Kayla, the one who shadowed
So
me.
my initials were KC.
Oh,
So
yeah, Casey.
I was told that I was to tell everyone that my name was KC, and which eventually progressed to Casey. So pretty much the whole time I was there, the only place I was called Kay or Kayla was in writing. I was Casey. So they just took my name, just took my entire identity, and then told me to shut up for 30 days. So
30 days is a long time. You are not allowed to speak to your family or have any contact. It really is like a debrief and uploading, like a programming. It really is. I mean, they tell you it's so that you can learn the rules and you can learn how you fit in. And then it's, prevents drama with the new girls. And I'm sure it prevents drama because you can't talk to them. Everyone's afraid to talk to you. But at the same time, your job for that first 30 days, and you're terrified, away from home, 14 years old, your only job is to sit there and learn the rules, the people, the way things are done, so that when you get off shadowing, you just fit right in like everybody else.
Honestly, you were lucky if you came from IFB. I felt lucky to.
Yes, because these other girls had a culture shock that we did not have, because this was just more strict, which honestly, I didn't think it could get more strict, but we had the history of IFB behind us.
Well, what about the Bible stuff? Because I haven't heard a lot talked about, like what would where the Bible came into play here. Like where did he spend a lot of time with studying the Word or anything?
Yeah, a lot. I read the King James Bible cover to cover while I was there. I think I told you guys that.
Wow.
I was 16.
Well, remember those demerits that I talked about from the white girls?
Our punishments were to write Bible verses.
They would just pick a chapter, this one, on Friday night, and you had to write that chapter for how many demerits you had. And it was
yikes.
In the hundreds usually.
And Psalms 119 was yes, like the ultimate punishment. And if you've never written Psalm 119, I'm so happy for you.
Let's go read Psalm 119. If you don't know
reading Psalm 119,
just go read it.
Because reading it is bad. Yeah.
King James version only, guys. Remember.
But every aspect of our life was about the Bible and about Christianity. And being that we were women, we were being taught how to be pure and to be submissive, and to, boundaries were not a thing.
Let's talk about Brother Mitchell too. Like, it wasn't even just like the context of what we were being preached. TJ, the director at the time, was a terrifying man. Like, how tall was Mitchell? 6'3", 6'4"? 200, 300 pounds. Like, I have a picture of it. This is Miss Beebe and Brother Mitchell, but terrifying man. And he, I want you to think of the most aggressive leadership and management style possible. My first experiences with Mitchell were him like inches from my face, spitting on me. I remember getting spit on constantly because he just spat when he talked. And he got in our faces, and he would do that to Miss Beebe in front of us as well. I will tell you that I really feel like the way he treated his wife, Miss Beebe, in front of us was almost like a peak of abuse for me, because it wasn't just that I would get it every now and then, or we would get it every now and then, but she got it constantly and right in front of us, and our world stopped. Tracks stopped. Everything we were doing stopped while he berated her. You know what I mean? It was just like
but we also, it kind of feeds into that culture of women are quiet and women are submissive and men will apologize later, and it's between them and God. Again, we don't talk about it, and so we did watch her really take the brunt of his anger and frustration, and I don't think
and then we had assistant director, Brother Matt.
I don't think they were equipped to handle what they had signed up for.
Well, the assistant directors were like essentially teenagers too, remember? And so we had that, and then the people.
I mean, their kids are like older now, and I remember when they were first being born.
Yeah. This was their first child, their baby, when I was there, and so we had the two extremes. that was these 4 adults that were essentially leading us until Debbie's the single mom came in and moved into the basement. This was my experience. Again, I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole here, but I'm sorry. But Matt and Jenny Matt was like, we've talked a lot about youth pastors, and I'm just going to say that when we are talking about youth pastors and I think about him, Matt's it, like peak of exactly. I'm just not going to say more than that, but he was like, and he was also so high energy that you want to talk about like walking on emotional eggshells and the damage that can do to a child or a young person, but like a house full of teenage girls walking on eggshells for like a 50-year-old hateful tyrant and a like 20-year-old crackhead boy. And Matt didn't do crack, but his energy level was.
It was very like.
It was something that sticks out of my memory, and I'm 33. And so, and then there was the energies of having 20-year-olds in the house with 16-year-olds.
And we had the polar opposites of like, BB was the Proverbs 31 woman. Like that was her goal, was to embody being the Proverbs 31 woman. And that was what she wanted us, like she made it her mission, you know. She was like constantly checking our skirts for their length and our clothing and adjusting our posture and making sure that we weren't eating anything that would harm our fertility down the line, you know. It's like,
what?
She was very controlling in an I'm trying to teach you how to be a righteous woman. And then we watched him berate her and walk all over her and treat her like she was not worth anything. And we kind of just learned as girls that this is what our life is going to be. You know?
Oh, wow. Okay. Psychotic, obviously, but I would like to know what foods were on that list of foods that would harm your fertility if you ate them as a 14-year-old. Like, what could that possibly be? I just
my favorite was dark soda. Do you remember that? She hated dark soda. We were not allowed to drink any dark soda because it was bad for our kidneys and bad for our women's bodies. And dark soda was like the thing. I don't know why she had such a grudge against dark soda, but that was like
so
box.
That's kind of so. I mean, credit where credit's due. So it is bad for your kidneys. She was right about that. Okay, I gotta hand it to her on that one. But her obsession with dark soda is odd too, because like it's only dark because of syrup or like food coloring, or right. That's it. Like the soda is the exact same.
Sprite and other things. There was Sprite.
That makes no sense at all. Wow.
But no dark soda ever.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, not any. Never.
Wow, weird one. That's a new one. I've never heard the dark soda thing. That's odd. Jesus.
I've never heard it outside of Brenda Buck either. But yeah, that was her thing. Dark soda and long skirts.
Jesus fucking Christ. Oh. So go ahead. No, go please.
Oh no, you're good. You are obviously talking about like it, you know, it's big in the IFB, right? Being submissive to the man and all that kind of stuff. And then I know that you guys mentioned that there's a boys' home also associated with it. Did you guys ever have any interactions, or like did they try to like match make, like, you know how the IFB is, right? Like we
were not even
to get married young and have a family and whatever.
No, we wished.
They would never put the troubled ones with the troubled ones, and like, or
okay,
they
yeah.
Travel. Sometimes
I didn't think so, but
we went to Texas with the boys. I mean, we traveled separate and we were housed separate.
And we each had the first row at church on either side.
Booths kind of went at an angle, and we would get in trouble. You were looking.
We would get in trouble for looking at them. I don't even remember their faces. I remember being very. I'm not kidding. Like I remember being mostly terrified to look up. Now, Stacey, I know you had a different experience because you ended up going to school with them, and I can't even. We didn't know how to deal with you, Stacey. Once you went from Haven girl,
I had that
boarding school kid, and we were like, what do we do? You know, it was crazy.
Yeah. I had that weird limbo where when my parents moved to Tennessee when I was 16, we decided to bring me home, but I was still considered a Haven girl, but I wasn't. It was bizarre. like I went to school with the academy, which was on the same property that the girls' home school was in. But I still sat with the Haven at church, and like still had some
I think that you chose that though. I think that I remember that being kind of a baller move.
You guys were my
Was I wrong?
sisters. Like, you guys were my sisters. I didn't know better than.
Yeah, I remember the first day that your family was in church, and we were like, "Is she gonna stay with her family?" And you were like,
I was not allowed to at first. There was like a transition period, and there were rules. Like I had the freedom to work on the bus ministry away from the girls, but then I still had to do things with them or eat lunch with them. It was just like weird.
Tell them about our athletic opportunities too.
Oh, the great athletic opportunities that they
The athletic opportunities.
Oh yes.
There's so many. So many.
Yes. The volleyball and pool lots has to be up there.
Everywhere. My God.
That was enough.
Everywhere.
I
was hoping to be soccer or something.
Volleyball, because volleyball is like appropriate, we practice with skirts.
You're right. And okay, we have another thing. We have to talk about the traveling. We have to circle back to that. But I just want to mention that if volleyball wasn't enough for you, you could go row a boat in the pond. Okay, you could walk laps. You could go clean out the barn. You could actually do a lot of chores.
We have now talked about Mitchell and BB and Matt, but Matt's wife Jenny, talking about going on long walks, was probably the just angel of the group.
Jenny was. I was about to say. I was gonna hope you were about to say something positive because Jenny was made me feel loved. When I think that's why I want to be really careful here because TJ and Kai, I'm thinking of two in particular. You might be thinking of more, but there are two girls from our class that are still like very deep in this family, I think in this church. And they were definitely backroom girls. All right. So I'm not going to sit here and say that they were my best friends while I was there, but I love them. And to echo what Stacy said, the bond that we have is the only other thing I can compare it to is like my sisters.
And those two girls did not have family. And
Jenny really they were, in my opinion, like abandoned there. They were some of the abandoned girls. And
Jenny made them sisters and family, and they called her mom. And I think that's great because she really tried.
And for Jenny, it was her family, so it's not like she really,
because she was the daughter of the pastor of the church.
Yeah. So I'm not saying she's off the hook for staying or being where or anything either, but she did try to make us feel loved, and I can see how these two made the choices or went down the path. I just want them to know because I think one of them might listen. So I'm talking to you, babe. Okay. Like I get it. I think we all get it, right? And it is never not an option to leave. That's what I want to say to anybody. It is never not an option.
In particular, it is okay.
Yeah.
There is great life on this side, even in
still so much time to live a normal life or to have and I will just so much time. You're right. Sorry.
Yep. But we love you, girl.
Yeah, we love you both.
Yeah, both of you.
And I hope that neither of them, none of our Haven sisters take any of this as an attack. But I can't look back and I can't make any of this okay. And I am not going to pussyfoot around it because of anybody else's choices either. And I want to shout out to Stacy really quick because I've not always been where in this, like, able to really stand on that for a long time. And Stacy, you have for a while. So I love you, respect you. And we as Haven girls, like we've had other opportunities to try to bring light to this when Dr. Phil was on his soapbox, when, even when Let Us Pray came out or when we were talking to the other reporter, but the Haven has been going and going and going for a long time. It's a little bit different than Agape. It's not the daughter voicing it.
And if they're destroying our records, then there isn't much for anybody to go back through.
So it's just our word. And anytime we get together, there's different groups of girls. This has been years. Like we're two girls of like one, I would say like crew, but there's other groups of Haven girls. And every time we get together, we kind of fall apart because it is so painful for us. So, you know, but we need to get it. We need it's I don't remember where I was going with that, but yeah, we don't have a lot to work on other than the shared experience and our word and stuff like that. And like, I hope that I know for my parents have like given me my mom has given me a lot of answers over the years. I've not had the opportunity to share with either of my parents what happened to me there. And I don't remember a lot of it either. And I want to say this, Stacey, the last thing I wanted to talk about that we didn't is the amount of traveling, the way they traveled with us. And we kind of, sorry, my kids are banging on something. Hang on a second, guys. I had to do a hey, stop that. They're like banging on a box. So they traveled with us constantly. Like I was reading a letter before we got on, where they had us sleeping on a floor while, by the way, the founders are not any of the people we've mentioned so far. Steve and Ruth Grubbs are the founders. And I have a lot of questions about Steve Grubbs, but we can do a whole other episode on that.
I have a lot of questions about Jason, his son, who was the pastor of the church, and they split the church. You know,
they did split the church. Yes,
there's
things for us to dig through here. But we were, August 22nd, 2007, we were in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I wrote that we were sleeping on the floor because Brother Steve and Miss Ruth had won a free weekend to the Grand Ole Opry. So they had put us and some church members home, all together in one room, put us on the floor while they took a family vacation. And then not only that, like I want to show the CD as well. I have the opportunity. Where's all press on? Guys, I just had it. Stacey wasn't a part of the CD, but they recorded us. They had us record a CD. Took us up to, I want to say Nashville. Russian Wind Records.
I was really disappointed to not be a part of that, actually. If just for the record, I was so bummed. And my parents used that against me as a punishment when I was gone, because I was in that weird hybrid space of, yes, I'm a Haven girl, but I'm also not, for that 6 or 9 months. And that was the 6 or 9 months that you guys made that CD. And I was so upset. I wanted to do it so bad. And now I'm glad I cover.
Yeah, no. But not only was the CD kind of a traumatic event because Mitchell didn't let us do anything that wasn't perfect. We were always perfect, and the vocals on the CD ain't bad. Like I listened to it the other day. Like we we were in harmony. I'll give us that. But listen to it back and to think about it, it was because like we weren't doing schoolwork. We were singing all day long. We were like playing like emotional war games over who got what, solo, or got to share a testimonial. And then not only that, once the CD was over, the recording was over, they toured us. And I don't remember everything that happened on this CD tour, but it was not good. It was not good. And it was not just good, not just not good for me. It was not good for a lot of us. And I know that we're going to have more Haven sisters on here. Kai and TJ, you guys have been so great and nice to me about like how weird I am about talking about this and how much I want to talk about it though. I want anybody else but me to talk about it apparently. The
traveling to sing was not just for the CD. That was the culture, was how do we raise money for the girls' home, was let's pimp them out. And it wasn't just music, it was to free labor, really, for anybody.
But if we were sleeping on floors and we were eating pizza rolls and popcorn, where did our parents, the CD, and the culture money go? All to the church?
I'd like to say something here, if I can, because this will go back to how our parents handled this situation. I do not know how much the Haven cost, but I do know that I came from a pretty well-off family financially as a kid, and I had a pretty large bank account. My dad was really rigid on the 20-20-10 rule for long-term short. It was like 50% spending money, 10% is tithes, 20% short-term savings, and 20% is long-term savings. And we're talking thousands of dollars. And I was expected to be able to have that from a bank account when I turned 18, and I went when I turned 18 and I had nothing. It was gone, empty. And my dad told me that they used it because the Haven was expensive. So my
Oh,
childhood
Jesus.
savings went to pay for my trauma.
I did find out from my stepdad exactly how much my parents made. TJ or as one of us, somebody remind me next episode to confirm because, and you're warm. You're right. Like, I mean, it was, I want to say like, it was less than $2,000 a month, but it was very close.
Yeah, and
Okay.
this was
Wow.
back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, this was
Yeah,
2011,
wow.
but still. And that's not like an enrollment fee. That's not like moving her there. That's not the money that they sent
Money
us
on
to
our
go to
books.
Walmart with.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, I don't know.
Jesus.
It's just crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Damn, guys. This was so. I feel like spent right now. And I didn't
I
even
had one
talk,
question,
so.
and I had one other question, and you don't have to answer this at all. But the troubled teen industry, right, in these homes have become so like, I don't want to say like a trigger issue, right? But like, you know, with Paris Hilton and like Dr. Phil and all these people and stuff coming out. I know earlier you mentioned SWAT. You don't have to get personal or anything like that. Can you kind of share like what punishment would look like? Like you mentioned writing Bible verses and SWATs. But then you hear the stuff coming out of Agape and other places like that. Is there anything you can or want to speak to in that realm that's like not corporal punishment, or what that would look like, you know, for getting SWATs and stuff like that? And if you don't want to share, that's totally okay. And you don't have to be specific either. Like just if there's stuff you've heard or seen or.
And Kayla, correct me if I'm wrong or if you feel otherwise, but I feel like the girls' home, we did have corporal punishment, but I feel like our punishment was just master manipulation and mental and emotional abuse. And I know for a fact, because last year when we were talking to the FBI in the news, I got statements from boys and girls, official statements that were turned in to the FBI, and I have them in my emails, and I'm not at liberty to share them, who they came from or what they say, and I have not read them since they were submitted to me. But the boys, the physical abuse, we're talking like hit with vehicles and pushed down hills and made to eat your own vomit. And
they have the properties are really beautiful, but very like I can't even describe how perfectly isolated they are. They're like cut out of the forestry off these roads in Cleveland, Tennessee.
Like if you took the sign away from the girls' home driveway, you would drive past it and not realize that it's there because it like curves back and around into the woods. It is non-existent.
Yeah. I forgot about my mic again. I want to say, just to clarify and add on to what you said, there was definitely, and the girls, like, I think it depended on your personality. Stacy, you were never one to respond to that kind of punishment. I got a lot of physical punishment in my first 6 months. Hang on, my kids keep just like banging cabinets. 1 second.
My parents used to, before the Haven, they had a
lot. Well, it was like I came
they
from
would
it
take
too.
me into the walk-in closet in the center of our house because it was the quietest place in the house. No one could hear us scream, and they would spank us.
Yeah.
With a leather strap, this wide and this long, you know.
Yeah.
This corporal punishment is, I mean, it's in the Bible.
Yeah.
Corporal
they did have Brother Mitchell had a paddle in the office. Jenny, from my memory, Jenny did a lot of the spanking, which what an awful thing to do to a 20-something-year-old young woman. Like that's terrible.
And also the fact that she was the one most of us trusted the most.
And Jenny
aging us
but Jenny never spanked me. I got all my spankings from Mitchell, but that was because like I was physically combative. I was like I said in the first episode, I was like, fucking try, you know, and that's kind of how the abuse was deeply mental and psychological abuse. And we were also abused like like, I just
I mean, I have
deeply
statements of
otherwise.
sexual abuse across state
I
lines.
was about to say, like, we were negligence, like at minimum negligence on when they were touring us. They didn't ever spend money on hotels. Like, they would raise all this money for us to travel, and they only went towards gas money for the vans that they crammed us in, because we were essentially just like given out to godly church members
Ugh.
to host. And you want to talk about a dangerous can of worms to
Yeah.
open? That's
Yeah, I mean, did our parents know? Honestly, I wonder.
my
Sometimes
parents
our
didn't. My parents had
knew.
no idea.
But
My
then
parents had
even
no idea.
coming from the IFB, I was young, 10 years old, with my sister door knocking on Saturday mornings in neighborhoods. And we used to hide it from my grandparents because they hated it and they thought it was so unsafe. So maybe my parents did know. And this was just like, this type of thing is the way the IFB operates. Passing out flyers on Saturday mornings is a normal thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the I don't know, the tossing kids out to spend the night at someone's house, that's pretty wild, even for IFB in a lot of ways. Because the door knocking thing, you mentioned it when we were first talking before the show about how you would do stuff like this, and it made me think about, when I was in, late elementary school, middle school, even like before high school. Like we were 12, 13 years old, and they would just take all of us in this van to some neighborhood that we had never been to, we knew nothing about, drop us off two at a time and say, walk down the street, knock on all these doors, come back to this spot in 45 minutes. And they did that. They just dropped us, in the middle. It was long before, it was long before the days of cell phones. And we were just two children just going door to door. It's like, that's incredibly dangerous. We did that for years. That was just a normal part of the culture. And that, not even the most dangerous one, but it's wild to think about now that this is such a commonplace occurrence.
We weren't just going to nice neighborhoods either, like suburbs.
Yeah, right.
We're going to I can smell the drugs from one of these doors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
that
the
is
fact
insane.
that we did not get kidnapped.
It is actually. It is. It's incredible that it didn't happen way more often. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Stacey, one thing I like to ask with these conversations here is just in your. I like to see where people have ended up personally when it comes to like their faith and their religion, and it's fascinating to me to see like the splintered path that we've all taken over the years. I have no clue like where you are right now, but if you wouldn't mind telling us, because this experience is going to shape you one way or the other. Like, so how has that changed or for you over the years?
I will start with one statement. I think that organized religion for children is dangerous. And I will take that with me to the day I die. Organized religion is dangerous for children.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Because I don't think that they're mentally developed enough to decipher what's being taught to them and to maintain their self-worth while they're being told that they are terrible people and need a savior. You know what I mean? I just think it's really dangerous. I think a lot of grooming happens. So over the years, younger adults felt kind of lost and tried the non-denominational scene for a little while, and it just was not for me. I tend to, I guess, believe more that our power lies more within ourselves. And I think that comes a lot from, I have a hard time with the way we were treated as children in these girls' homes and in the churches and things like that, to believe in anything that gives you the green light to do this to people is not something I want to believe in. And I heard it so many times, never be the Christian that makes someone say, I don't want this. And that's exactly what I've seen. And, there's a couple people from my childhood, that a couple adults actually that used to be friends with my parents that I've stayed in touch with, and they maybe, I think, embody more Christianity. But when you take that and add it to anything organized, I just can't get behind it. I just can't. I can't allow my child to be a part of that. These homes talk about being parent helping ministries through the work of God, and that should bring your family together, and it has not in any way. You know, I know that my family has not shown me what they preach.
Yeah.
You know? And I know that there have been times where I have reached out and been like, I need you. And my parents have just flat out said, no, sorry, good luck. And I just can't, as a mother now, I cannot justify putting a being in my life and my child's life, you know, that could do this to people. That's where I'm at. You know,
Yeah.
I've come to terms with it. I've forgiven enough to where it doesn't make me bitter anymore. That's why I can talk about it. That's why Kayla says, you know, you can talk about it, because I can talk about it because I've healed from it. I'm no longer bitter by it, but I just see how dangerous it is.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say that this was, thank you, Stacey. Like, this was something
Yeah,
that
thank you so
I've
much.
been
Yeah,
trying to
good.
talk about. Yeah, I've been behind the scenes, like pestering TJ and Kai to talk about, and I just couldn't find a way to dig into it. So I can't thank you enough for like helping me to just like get this out.
I know how hard some of this stuff is for you to talk about. I mean, even when her and I talk on the phone privately, it's still like there are moments where it's like, ooh, that hit a nerve, and we have just learned how to like talk through it and talk around it because we came from the same background, you know. So I'm proud of you. This was hard for you. I know it was hard for you, and I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you too. I'm proud of all of us, and I want to say too that I think you and I over the years, a lot of the Haven girls, you know, everybody had their own shit before we got to the Haven too. So I'm not saying it's all the Haven, but some of us, a large majority of us, we all, even me, okay, us too, who struggle. And I think over the years, you and I have also tried to like assume a lot of other people's stories in this too. And I don't just get emotional just because I can't talk about it. That is a huge part of it. Like I like came out of the Haven, went to Bob Jones, like I told you guys, and then just like hit life running and had no idea what I was doing. And then a few years later, I was a single mom. So, but like now going back and trying to unpack it, you know, I get emotional because like I'm never just thinking about just my experience or just your experience or Queez or anybody else's. Like it's just a lot to carry because there are so many of us. Like that's the thing. I want any of the people that don't want us to talk about the Haven or don't want us to talk about the Bucks or the Grubs. Like I'm sorry, guys, but there's way more of us that are not okay than us that are scared. So that's why we got to.
And what about the Grubs and the fact that they all wear jeans and they all like hold hands and kiss before they're getting married? And these people, this has been probably the hardest thing for me to recover from, whether it's my
not that a damn thing to you, have they? Not
anything. Why did you fight so hard to take these things from us and to destroy for us to graduate?
To
like
add me on Facebook 15 years later and be like, hey, everything cool?
Yeah, like you're taking pictures and your daughters are wearing shorts. They're not in but they're not Haven approved. And here we are, you know, within 2 years after I graduated, and I'm watching these people start to liberalize right after they finished ruining our lives.
Somebody wanted to say
the bitterness that has come from that has been something I've actively worked to overcome. Is I can't look at Kim Grubbs in a pair of jeans.
Honestly, I never could.
A little bubble of rage. You know,
I never really cared for looking at
my sister went to. I just lost it. I was like, how could you go to a concert? It's not even a Christian concert. Like after all these years,
hypocrisy has never bothered me so much because it's there's always been some level of hypocrisy there for me, and not to like disagree with you, but I just want to say it is the continued silence. Like I don't know how you participated in the Haven, at least in my era, and you like can continue without having said. I'm not saying you owe. Well, you do owe every girl an apology. You do, but I'm not saying you have to go through and do that. But no one at Shenandoah, like y'all haven't made a statement. You haven't if you have changed your ways, no former Haven girl knows it. You have done us no favors by giving us any peace that this still isn't going on. You have done nothing to actually help the girls or the families that, like, you guys made a huge, terrible impact on a lot of people. I don't know if like somebody needs to say that to you, but here's the Kids from It podcast to tell you, Shenandoah Haven girls and Shenandoah Church, that you did a lot of damage.
An apology.
Yeah, you need to say something, to do something. I don't know.
I want to say something. Interrupt real quick here. That
okay, yeah.
Something funny really happened there. I'm sure Kai caught it too. But there was a time where, so right after Stacey was talking, Kayla started speaking to the Shenandoah in the second person and saying, "You owe all the girls an apology." And Stacey was like, "What?" And then Kayla kept going, and then I was like, "Wait a minute!" I was like, "Wait, she's talking about the school." Then you said it, and then Stacey was like, I saw Stacey. Oh, okay, yeah. And you saw there for like 5 or 10 seconds, where Stacey's like, "What did I?" It's just
I'm sorry. I didn't want an apology. I'm not even an apology. I don't want some kind of fake apology though. Like, honestly, miss me with some fucking bullshit apology like the one we read off the Bob Jones website. But take some accountability. Like, be like, yeah, like just some kind of acknowledgement other than you wearing pants would be nice. You know, like.
Right. Well, it's just hard to watch everybody liberalize and stay Christian but leave the IFB, because IFB is another layer to Christianity. It doesn't stop there, you know. It does go to like normalish people, you know. And so to see them like liberalize over the years and do the things that they gave us hell for and ruined our childhood over,
like changed our brains the way that they were developing. You know?
It did. Yes, it did. I have long-lasting medical problems.
Me too. I don't think any of us don't, honestly.
No, So
and like, you know, you want to get on the political soapbox, like, okay, I'm a single mom. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm just gonna say, like, I don't have insurance. Shenandoah, you want to help me out here? Like, I just, you know, it's crazy. So I mean, it's just bigger.
One thing we talk about that very concept a lot, Stacey. About I'm sure you heard this example too, growing up in this community. That the example they would always use about how the church is here and the world is here, and then the church moves here 10 years later, and then the world, the world moves here, and the church follows the world. And I saw that as a kid. That's exactly what happened. It happens every single time because it has to. Because if this church wants to survive, it realizes it can't literally stay. It can pretend it's staying, 60, 70 years ago, and it can fight tooth and nail to adapt to modern society. But they will in some slow way. So they're always, a decade or two behind the world. But it is incredibly insulting to people like us who grew up in that. So what?
And you're slut shaming young girls in this environment by the way we dress. 2 fingers from the dip in your collarbone and covering your knees when you sit down. So mid calf when you stand up, and monitoring our underwear and like that severe. I mean, it's slut shaming. Is all.
Oh, the slut shaming, and the slut shaming was the slut shaming, like you just had to look clean, and that was a problem.
Right. It was anything was slut shaming. And then to see them say like wearing pants is inappropriate and tempts men and
we wore shirts over our pajama pants till the moment we
were years old. And then I watched them and their kids all growing up side by side to us. And now suddenly pants are not a temptation to men anymore. Suddenly men have learned self-control now that I'm no longer a minor.
Yeah.
Don't understand.
God has changed his mind on this entire thing. Don't worry about it.
What do you know?
Yeah, God has changed.
Miracle. Hallelujah.
Miracle. The Bible has never changed.
Sorry, Kyrie. I'm sorry. I didn't love miracles.
Yes, the Bible has never changed for thousands of years or whatever, but now here we are.
But now it's cool.
The reality of it, and I'll say this before Kyrene does it, is that the reality is that people change, and that really is what we're trying to identify. That I'm not necessarily like coming at God right now or Christianity, but I just like stop acting like if you're. I saw you, TJ. Okay, I'm trying to be.
This is all I'll say. This is all I will say about this. This is all
I wasn't gonna say anything.
TJ, this is a good point though, but
No, people change, and I agree with that too, because the Bible can mean whatever you want it to mean. It has for 2,000 years now. Well, more than three or 4,000. But what bothers me is the inconsistency. That's all I have a problem with. Is that I actually have more respect for like the people who say this is what we believe and we are not changing because this is what God said. We believe this is what God said. This is a moral teaching. This is why we believe it. And they fucking stick to it. I have a hell of a lot of respect for that because at least it's consistent. Yeah. Now they're worse people. Of course they're worse people, but it's like, this is what we believe. They're like, I have a personal relationship with God and his kid. And, they told me exactly what I need to do. So these are the rules they set in place. Why would 20 years later, holy shit, I got it completely wrong. No, that's not how this works. If you're talking to the creator of the universe, that's in stone. That is set still. So I have respect for I saw this mega church do this how they have the worship services and everything with the music, and it was a whole news story I saw on it, and they played Highway to Hell by AC/DC at church, and I'm looking at that and I said, okay, this is a fucking joke to you. This isn't real. If you really respected what you were doing here, you would not bring someone on stage to play Highway to fucking Hell at your church because it's cute and it's like, oh, it's Highway to Hell. No, you're not taking this seriously. I want some ecclesiastical, certitude, confidence, and morality upon your statements on what you believe. Do you believe you're talking to God or not? If you are, you're going to take this seriously. If you're not, you're going to act like that. And so that's what gets me. It's like I don't. It's not even just that they're changing to follow the world. It's that it just shows me you're insincere. And so and it hurts me so much because I tried my best. I wasn't the best kid, the best Christian, but I did believe this stuff and I did take it seriously. And I did want to see what God had to say. And I did want to follow the laws and the precepts and see people just go, oh yeah, changing their mind now. I'm like, okay, all right, fine. Don't expect me to take you seriously if you don't take the word of God seriously. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'll say right there.
Well, and the IFB takes great pride in not following the secular world.
Yeah, right. I know.
They take great pride in not following.
Yeah. I feel like that was such a really still as detailed as we got. That was still such a surface level introduction to the Haven and the experience. I know that we'll surely talk about this again.
We will.
But I just before I know TJ, you're probably about to wrap us up. I have a special thing for Kyrene. When we recorded our last episode, the very end of it, my darling, dearest friend here decided to tell me, her lifelong friend, that it was her birthday, and I had just proceeded to preach at her and be a little butthole because I was salty that night. So I just want to show everyone, this is one of my favorite photos of me and Kyrene, who had a birthday this week. This was us playing volleyball. I don't even know when this was.
Volleyball.
2006. This is right before I came to Haven Stace. I just want to say happy birthday. I love you. You have been a beautiful, beautiful person for this long and longer. And I'm sorry I missed your birthday, lifelong friend. And Stacy, also one of my longest, oldest friends. Thank you for doing this with me, or coming on here today with an hour and a half of notice. And TJ, Uncle TJ. I don't have anything to thank you for other than being yourself.
We do love
thank
TJ.
you for having me. I appreciate this conversation. I appreciate that you guys are taking the hard conversations and putting them out there. This stuff is coming to light for the first time. I mean, there's a lot of other fundamentalist groups that have had their 5 minutes of fame, and IFB has not yet. And it's just picking up momentum. And I'm so proud of every single person that gets on these platforms and talks about their experience and sheds light on something that is not seen by normal people.
Hides in plain sight.
Because there's a whole new generation of kids that are just like us.
Yeah.
that are going to be hearing these stories, and maybe their lives won't take the turn that ours have taken over the years. Maybe they won't have to learn some of these lessons the hard way, you know?
Yeah.
So thank you guys for being strong and brave enough to do this.
Thanks. Love you.
We're very glad you joined us.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna end it.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to say anything, TJ. All right,
It was really
we
nice to meet
are.
you.